I am honored and humbled to accept your nomination to be the Democratic candidate for the state Senate in the 33rd District. And let me say that earlier on this day, I couldn't get through that line without being teary, so made it. First and foremost, thank you all, and I truly mean that. Thank you for coming here tonight. Thank you especially to Jim and to Missy and to Eileen and to Nancy and Mary Ellen and Justin for your kind words of support and for your endorsement. It means a lot, a great deal to me. And thank you all for the confidence and the trust that you have placed in me. I also, of course, need to thank my husband and my extended family as well for their understanding and patience up to this point, and more importantly, to ask them for their continued understanding and patience in the weeks and months that lie ahead. Every day between now and Election Day, I will do my best to honor the responsibility and privilege that you have bestowed on me with this nomination. And just as importantly, after Election Day, as your state senator, I will do my best to listen to your concerns and to put the interests of our communities ahead of partisanship. Also to support policies that help small businesses, and I will fight for children and for women and for working families. As many of you know, I am the mother of 2 amazing children, and like so many moms, my children have played an instrumental role in determining my priorities, and they will undoubtedly weigh heavy on my mind inside the legislature. After all, what greater gift can a mother give to her children than to fight for the world that they are about to inherit? As you know, I am also the proud wife of an Iraq War veteran who is sitting in the front row, right over there next to my mother. 10 years ago, my husband was deployed with the 143rd Military Police Company of the Connecticut National Guard to Baghdad. And while he served in uniform, I too decided to serve humanity abroad by running an AIDS clinic in downtown Johannesburg, South Africa. Due to us both being committed to very demanding social services on opposite sides of the planet, over the course of our 15-month separation, I heard the sound of his voice on the other end of a phone one time. Our marriage has always been one that puts a high priority on community service and civic engagement, priorities that were instilled in me from a very early age. My extended family, as many of you know, runs Reynolds Subaru, which is a small business that has existed on Hamburg Cove in Lyme for over 160 years. Like many small business owners in Connecticut, my family members work hard to engage with their community and augment support for local government. The great Albert Schweitzer once said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but the one thing I know is that the only ones among you who will really be happy are those who have sought and found how to serve." And it is with this commitment to public service that I stand before you tonight. My great-grandfather, Donald Grant Reynolds, often said that he had traveled all over the world and could conclusively say that the most beautiful spot on the planet was Hamburg Cove. As I stand before you today, DG looms large in my mind because I, too, have traveled the world. And I also believe that the most beautiful place that I have ever laid eyes on is the lower Connecticut River Valley. But the truth of the matter is that it actually isn't the river that makes this place home for me. It's the people. Much more than the physical landscape, it is the human beings who we live alongside that give our lives meaning and purpose. And so it is in service to my fellow man that I find myself most engaged and fulfilled. As a young mother, I know exactly what it takes to raise a family right here in the hills of the lower Connecticut River Valley. I have the experience of managing a household budget and juggling family, employment, service, and recreation. And when it comes to attracting young people to our area, I understand the importance of reasonably priced housing and sustainable jobs and high-quality schools because my family and I have depended on those very things ourselves. Over the course of the last few months, I've really and truly enjoyed traveling around our 12 small towns and getting to know the distinct personality, and they are very distinct, of each community here. And the truth is that each one of our towns faces a very diverse array of issues. But one common thread that we all face is that the single biggest tax liability we have is public education. Too often it happens that our small towns have been the unintended victim of good intentions, of statewide mandates that were passed by the legislature with big cities in mind. And as our schools have struggled to implement changes and comply with regulations, it has become painfully obvious that we need and also deserve a stronger voice inside the state Senate advocating for our communities. We can no longer afford a state senator who recently told a public forum in Haddam that Hartford politics are simply too difficult to get things done for our public schools. I know that the voters have had a chance to get to know my opponent over the last 2 years as he has attended events and campaigned around the district, but few among us, maybe not in this room, but few among us out in our communities know very much about his record. Throughout my campaign, we will point to significant differences between my opponent and myself. For example, our current state senator voted against increasing the minimum wage twice. I believe that providing a livable wage is critical, particularly, oh, by the way, to women across our district and throughout Connecticut. Recently, he also proposed a bill to dramatically reduce the earned income tax credit, which is a policy that encourages and rewards the working poor, a policy that even Ronald Reagan said was a good idea. And as someone who has spent long periods of time with my sleeves rolled up working alongside some of the poorest people on the planet, I'm telling you now that as a society, it behooves us all to incentivize gainful employment for the poor. I think that's something we probably all can agree on. He also claims to believe in smaller government, but he has the support of the Family Institute, which is an organization that wants government to regulate who you can love and what women can do with their bodies. And if that is not enough, he routinely votes against essential funding for our schools and important projects in our towns. But yet he sees nothing wrong in taking credit for those funds that he opposed when they arrive. And he dodges questions from reporters when they ask him about it. And when so many local jobs depend on the health of our natural environment, we cannot afford a senator whose record does not reflect the environment as priority. For someone who campaigned the last time around on preserving what we have here in the River Valley, it is surprising, it should be surprising, that his record on the environmental issues ranks third lowest in the entire Connecticut State Senate. Our current senator did not get the majority of the votes in the last election, and his views are clearly out of step with the vast majority of his constituents. And so as I stand before you today, I ask for your support in this campaign to represent this district, because my story is the story of so many people who live here in the 33rd District. We are parents, community servants, town board members, volunteers, and business owners. We are veterans and teachers, firefighters and tradesmen, but above all else, we are a people who step to the plate when we see that our community is in trouble. We are a people who know better than to root for our state to fail. We take responsibility for the direction of our elected officials. We ask tough questions. We demand effectiveness. We work together for the benefit of our fellow citizens. We do what needs to be done again and again for our communities to be able to thrive. So as I embark on this campaign, I ask you to join me, join us, join Team Emily. This is not going to be easy. We're up against a tough opponent, and we all know he's got access to big out-of-state dollars from the national Republican establishment. But we also know that the stakes are high. Our communities deserve a voice inside the majority caucus, one that will work hard to make our best interests their priority. So if you work to get me to Hartford, I promise to be that voice. I will advocate for effective government. I will hold sacred the rights of our people and the natural beauty of our land. My record will reflect the priorities of this district and the beliefs of its people. And with your help, and it will take a lot of help, I will bring a strong, loud, independent, and constructive voice to the Connecticut Senate on your behalf. So I ask for your support and your help as this campaign continues to gain momentum. Join with us if you believe that so many of our communities will benefit from the perspective of a working mom, a voice inside the majority caucus where the important legislative and policy decisions are made, a state senator who will advocate for our small businesses rather than someone who criticizes their hard work and our great state, And if you think that we'll benefit from an individual who is committed to preserving and protecting our precious natural resources, not somebody who's going to take them for granted. We need somebody who's going to fight for working families and women's health every single day. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for the trust and confidence you have placed in me. And now, let's get to work. I'm Emily Bjornberg, and I approve this message.